Good morning. Welcome to the midweek edition of your breakfast show on Leadership Television Inside Nigeria. My name is Winifred Webo, and it's a pleasure to host you on today's program. And on this first half of the program, we'll look at newspaper review, what the papers are saying, including Nigeria's most influential leadership. Let's go with leadership first on the program. Leadership is still on the defection issue. It says defections, PDP's destruction, threat to democracy. Sule Lamido seeks Tinubu's intervention. We will reclaim all our seats from defectors, PDP. And Okowa says, I regret running with Atiku. Leading story on leadership this Wednesday, April 30, 2025. Defections, PDP's destruction, threat to democracy. Sule Lamido seeks Tinubu's intervention. We'll reclaim all our seats from defectors, PDP. I regret running with Atiku Okowa. Kickers to the leading story on leadership this Wednesday. Again, Ayanko calls for new constitution. This is a story that is on page 6 of leadership. CJN warns against frivolous petitions against judges. 2027, stakeholders warned against hijack of INEC. EFCC arrest e-money over Naira-dollar abuse. The story is on page 7 of leadership. And that takes us towards the masthead, where we have 14 monarchs killed, others missing in fresh Chibok attack. And on the business boss of leadership, Fade Water Project, Nigeria to pay World Bank $6.25 million yearly for 40 years. Fade Water Project, Nigeria to pay World Bank $6.25 million yearly for 40 years. Let's take excerpts from that story. Nigeria is set to repay $6.25 million annually over the next 40 years, totally more than $250 million, excluding interest for a World Bank loan meant to improve water access in Ekiti, Bauchi, and Rivers states, despite negligible results, a new report has revealed. Approved in 2015, the third National Urban Water Sector Reform Program, NUWSROP-P3, was scheduled to run until 2020, backed by a $250 million loan from the International Development Association, IDA, with a 40-year repayment term. However, the project mirrored earlier failed initiatives, prompting doubts about its viability from the outset. Excerpts from the story on the business boss on the cover of leadership this Wednesday. Fade Water Project, Nigeria to pay World Bank $6.25 million yearly for 40 years. That takes us to the stories about the masthead. NSA orders joint security screening of passengers at airports. McCartney elected Canada's Prime Minister. The story is on page 7 of leadership. It's from there we'll move to the page 3 where we have our stand. Today's stand is on Meta fine holding tech giants accountable. Meta fine holding tech giants accountable. The recent ruling by Nigeria's Competition and Consumer Protection Tribunal upholding the $220 million fine against Meta Platforms Incorporated represents a watershed moment in the global struggle to hold tech giants accountable. This decision, which also requires Meta to pay an additional $35,000 to cover investigation costs, sends a powerful message that transcends Nigeria's borders. Multinational technology companies cannot operate with impunity, especially when their practices threaten consumer rights and data privacy. In conclusion, needless to say, Meta must not only pay the fine, but fundamentally reform its practices to respect user privacy and comply with Nigerian law. The company's response will reveal much about its commitment to ethical business practices and respect for national sovereignty. Moreover, other tech companies operating in Nigeria should take note. This ruling establishes that the days of regulatory arbitrage and exploitation of jurisdictional gaps are numbered. Conclusion on today's stand in leadership. Meta fine holding tech giants accountable. From page 3, we move to the back page of leadership, where we have Wednesday column with Olufunke Baruwa. Today's Wednesday, she's writing on an enduring tragedy of blood, tears, and pain. an enduring tragedy of blood, tears, and pain. Today's Wednesday column with Olufunke Baruwa. In quote, the crisis in the Middle Belt is not just a northern Nigerian problem, it is a national tragedy and a moral stain. That's quote from this Wednesday's column. Before we leave the back page, let's look at Ghana Must Go. Ghana Must Go says, I'm Delta APC leader. Omoagege reacts to Oborewori's defection news. And the Ghana Must Go replied, let Senator Ned Nwoko catch you. In other words, it's also a position the senator is also eyeing the position of Delta State's APC leader. Moving away from leadership, and for continuation of these stories, log into the website of Leadership newspaper at www.leadership.ng. Moving away, we move to the Punch newspaper, still talking defections. Another point refers to Hurricane Tinubu. PDP National Working Committee, governors meet next week to avert defections. Hurricane Tinubu, PDP NWC, that is National Working Committee, governors meet next week to avert defections. Leading story on today's The Punch newspaper. Party to sue Delta governor, 547 local government chairmen, assemblymen, councillors as Atiku Okowa clash. Kicker to the leading story on The Punch newspaper this Wednesday. Kicker councillors as Atiku Okowa clash. Yes, in a televised interview yesterday on Arise Television, the former running mate to Abubakar Atiku did say that he regrets running with Atiku. He's also one of the kickers on leadership's leading story. I regret running with Atiku Okowa. Now we are on The Punch newspaper. There are other stories gracing the cover as well. Nigeria risks breakup without federal reform, Ayanku wants. Same story gracing the cover of Leadership. NSA plans joint security screening at airports. Kano's trial, DSS submits Radio Biafra devices in court. Zamfara Imam, 3 children killed after 11 million naira ransom. Bauchi governor faces backlash for appointing 168 new aides. We move towards the masthead of The Punch. COAS vast tough offensive as Boko Haram kills 40 in Borno. And about the masthead of The Punch, NNPCL shake-up, MDs of Port Harcourt, Warri Cardinal Refinery sacked. Several Melikayari-era top executives asked a major overhaul. Obi doesn't need PDP, Atiku coalition to defeat Tinubu. Coming from NRC. Obi doesn't need PDP, Atiku coalition to defeat Tinubu, NSC. And that concludes the review of front headline stories on The Punch newspaper this Wednesday, April 30, 2025. For continuation of these headline stories and inside stories, don't forget to log into the website of The Punch newspaper. Well, we are still talking defection, as right for going by the headline stories and main cover stories of the newspapers, national newspapers today, and the Vanguard newspaper is no exception. We move to Vanguard. Defections, PDP goes to court, says APC will soon implode. Defections, PDP goes to court, says APC will soon implode. Taxes, South Committee to oversee party in Delta. I informed Atiku before defecting Okowa, says he wasn't hounded by EFCC. Leading story, same defection story on Vanguard this Wednesday. Defections, PDP goes to court, says APC will soon implode. Taxes, South Committee to oversee party in Delta. I informed Atiku before defecting Okowa, says he wasn't hounded by EFCC. Second leading story on Vanguard, lawmakers tackles clash over kidnapping, phone-related crimes. Lawmakers tackles clash over kidnapping, phone-related crimes. Trump's 100 days, how America first president is reshaping the world. It stories on page 41 of the Vanguard. Trump's 100 days, how America first president is reshaping the world. Gowon Obasanjo governors orders to honor Clark in Lagos tomorrow. Japa, we can't get doctors to recruit Kwara government. The stories about the masthead of Vanguard. Zenith Bank promises quantum leap in dividends. Governor Kwebolo goes tough on kidnappers cultists, commences demolition of properties linked to sponsors. Public sector deficit borrowing threat to $1 trillion economy, Nachima OPS. Boko Haram kills 24 mourners, hunters in Adamawa, Bonu, race church houses. 2 soldiers die in landmine explosion. The story is on page 7 of Vanguard. Boko Haram kills 24 mourners, hunters in Adamawa, Bonu, race church houses. 2 soldiers die in landmine explosion. Leading story on Vanguard newspaper. However, leadership says 14 mourners killed, others missing in fresh Chibok attack. And that concludes the review of front headline stories on Vanguard this Wednesday. For more, log into the website of Vanguard. We move ahead to the next paper we have on our lineup, and that is Blueprint. Blueprint says Nigeria loses 118 billion naira to gas flaring in 2 months. Shell, MPDC, Mobil Oil, orders to pay $141.9 million penalties. Our homegrown energy transition will achieve zero emission, Bagudu. Kickers to the leading story on Blueprint newspaper this Wednesday. Nigeria loses 118 billion naira to gas flaring in 2 months. Shell, MPDC, Mobil Oil orders to pay $141.9 million penalties. Our homegrown energy transition will achieve zero emission, Bagudu. Zenith Bank pays 195.67 billion naira dividend for 2024 financial year. Shareholders law GMD Umeoji. UTME 2025 JAMB arrests 40 candidates over malpractices. Police arrest 33 suspected thugs in Kano. Boko Haram kills 40 mourners in Chibok, church houses touched. Federal government witness testifies in camera as Kano's terrorism trial commences. The story runs on page 10 of Blueprint. Federal government witness testifies in camera as Kano's terrorism trial commences. Article soon deferred, says Okowa as PDP heads to court. Just beneath the masthead of Blueprint, FCTA crushes 601 impounded motorcycles. Dangote Sugar grows turnover by 51% to provide 75,000 jobs. Sports, under 20 AFCON. CAF welcomes Flying Eagles to Egypt, ready for Tunisia. And above the masthead of Blueprint, we have invested 8.4 billion naira to empower 12,000 Lagos MSMEs. Sanwo-Olu, the governor of Lagos State. With that, we conclude review of front headline stories on Blueprint this Wednesday. For continuation of the news on Blueprint, log into the website www.blueprint.ng. From Blueprint, we move over to the next paper on our lineup, and that is The Guardian. The Guardian says Nine Mobile at Crossroads seeks $3 billion lifeline as 10.3 million subscribers port. Nine Mobile at Crossroads seeks $3 billion lifeline as 10.3 million subscribers port. The story runs on page 6 of The Guardian newspaper, which is the main leading story on the cover. NFIU identifies betting fintechs orders as enablers of kidnapping. Despite 40 trillion naira investment in 11 years, insecurity in Nigeria unacceptable. Federal government's witness testifies behind closed doors as Kano's terrorism trial begins. Agbakoba demands Natasha's retraction of sexual harassment claims. Agbakoba, who is a legal representative to the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, demands Natasha's retraction of sexual harassment claims. The story is on page 14 of The Guardian. PDP to sue Oborewori orders as Okowa assures of articles imminent decamp. Lagos empowers 1,700 entrepreneurs through micro support initiative. MBS expands CPI, unveils daily price movement data. Kako presidential aide seek probe of illegal student loan deductions. Of course, there was a report on The Guardian yesterday that of illegal deductions by various universities in the country. And there was an illustration to that effect. And obviously, in response to that, CACO Presidential Aid seek probe of illegal student loan deductions. Just before we leave the Guardian review this morning, we move ahead. The masthead. Shareholders hail of Via Omeoji approves Zenith Bank's 195.67 billion naira dividend. With that, we conclude review of front headline stories on the Guardian this Wednesday, the last day in the month of April 2025. For more, don't forget to log into the website of the Guardian, www.guardian.ng. It's also on this note we bring to a close the review of front headline stories on national newspapers, including Nigeria's most influential leadership. Don't forget to log into the website of Leadership to read more on the stories, www.leadership.ng. Same time, same station. Tomorrow is another date for a fresh edition of the program. My name is Winifred. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.